Hello, class. This is Mr. Webb. So I know first period, a lot of you guys got pulled down to the ACT pre-test session. So we're just going to go ahead and move forward. As I was telling you before, we have some things going on with determining the compounds and determining the names of some of these compounds. One thing you're going to make sure you do is you're going to use page 7 of your reference sheet, and you're going to use that because you really need that list of polyatomic ions to help you through this. So I'll go through a few examples, and we'll kind of go from there. But you are going to need to do your notes up to covalent bonding, and we can go ahead and talk about everything that we missed later on in class. All right, so the first thing we have here is adding the IDE ending when we have an ionic bond, which is a metal and a non-metal. When we say this, we simply add an IDE to the end. So saying NaBr would simply be sodium bromide, sodium bromide. And we'd write that. And we'd write that sodium bromide. That's how that would look. Okay, also when you're doing, when you're looking at a compound, turning a compound into a name, you see that you have calcium and chlorine. So all you're gonna do is add that IDE ending, and you're gonna say that calcium chloride. Even though it has a 2 there, you don't need to be worried about how many of the atoms you have for the particular compound name. You're just looking at the 2 elements that are being combined. So that's calcium chloride, and there it is. Okay, one more thing we discussed in class was we talked about Roman numerals. Here are your Roman numerals from 1 through 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When you have a transition metal, such as copper, you're going to need to make sure you include the Roman numeral in there. So you know that we have copper something. We're not sure what copper that is, but we're going to look right here to see what copper that is. As we see, that's a 1 there. So we know we're dealing with copper 1. That came from copper 1, just like this 2 came from the 2 charge from the oxygen. So we know we have copper 1, and then we have oxygen. So how are we going to say that? Copper, Roman numeral 1, and then oxide to keep that IDE ending. So that in particular should look like this when we write it out. Copper 1 oxide. Make sure for all the transition metals you have the Roman numeral in there. So we do have some exceptions to the rule here. We have lead and tin, which are not in the transition metal group, but they do have Roman numerals. And then we have silver and zinc, which are in the transition metal group. However, they only have 1 oxidation number. Silver is always +1 and zinc is always +2. So when we write these out in a formula name, there's no need to use parentheses and Roman numerals here. Okay, when we're doing some of these names to compounds, we have to make sure to do our adjustments. For example, copper 2 oxide, you have your Cu +2, and your oxygen is going to have a -2 charge. Now, you know when you combine those, you should have Cu2O2. All right, but that 2's, they can reduce to 1 to 1, so you'll get CuO. Okay, so that'll be your resultant compound. Zinc bromide is pretty straightforward. You have zinc that has a +2 charge and bromine that has a -1. So you crisscross those, you'll get zinc bromide +2, and Br -1. So when you crisscross those, you'll get ZnBr2. All right, and going down, when you have something like a lead 4 sulfide, you'll have Pb +4, and the sulfur is -2. Again, when you crisscross, you're going to get Pb2S4. That's going to have to reduce, so you'll get PbS2. All right, and for one of the other ones we did, which we found was pretty interesting, was calcium nitride. Again, you have calcium, Ca +2, and you have the nitrogen, which has a -3. So you have Ca +2 and -3. So when you do the crisscross there, you're going to have Ca3 and 2. All right.